I think we're going to win. We're going to win. Yeah, smaller crowd today than with Michael Saylor, I notice. I think this is just as important, if not more important. But you should never compare your crowd to Michael Saylor's crowd, or your stack to Michael Saylor's stack. I'm going to be humble. We've got one more component of this section, and thank you for coming, and thank you for absorbing this. But we've saved the best for last. We're screening a short film, which is a part of a larger film project called Dirty Coin by Alana Mediaa. And this has been a project, I guess I've been close to it through the whole process. I've seen it. And we're going to have a chat with Alana after the screening of the film. I think it's about 15 minutes. And in many ways, it illustrates and tells the story of what you've heard today. Alana did incredibly extensive research. She knows more people in this community than I do, by far. And that wasn't true at the beginning. She literally knows everybody, has interviewed everyone. And she's a powerful artist and filmmaker. Some of what we've talked about today is like, how do we communicate this message? We have massive arbitrage here. We've got alpha, and we've got problems. And we're like, how is it that we can see things so differently from other people? And the way we solve this is not just with academic research papers. It's not just with engineers building things. It's not just with conferences where we talk to each other. It's with art. It's with art. Artists are our storytellers of our time, and Alana is one. So enjoy the film. We're going to have a quick discussion afterwards. This is Stranded.
So we played the movie now, right?
Globally, about 755 million people do not have access to electricity. And a large chunk of those people live in Africa.
We started generating electricity here way back in 2013. That's when we started distributing power to the rural communities. We are connecting close to about 1,700 households. A health center, which is a government health center, that serves the population of about 10,000 people around the area. And then we have got also connected about 12 primary schools and 3 secondary schools.
Because of this glitch, because there's power. Because I said there's already power. Yeah, we used to have candles, and they could blow off during the night when you are having some operations and the like, so it wasn't okay. But now with the coming in of electricity, just switch on and everything is okay. We have some lamps that we use for other operations. Also, we use electricity for our refrigeration, where we could keep our drugs. So it has had a lot of impact for us.
When the people of Bondo village received electricity, the lives of people, Bondo village, changed. people were traveling long distances, almost 20 kilometers from Bondo to the main road to have access of electricity.
Hai femu yathu yasintha kwambiri chifukwa poyamba chigayo chinali kutali. Komanso mafiriji timaonera kutali. Mafiriji so abwera ifankhani yachani ya magesi. Komanso zophikira. Komanso anatibweresera mbawula zachitetezo mbawula. Lezi mezi yaso zimakonza kuseva nkhuni so.
Because of the different challenges in Africa, either whether it's infrastructure, transmission and distribution, you find that these mini-grids are really filling in the gap where the mini-grid is not able to support those communities.
Our microgrid uses water or hydro. So we took advantage of Richenya River to start generating electricity. At the moment, we have got 3 power plants, which are cascading in nature, and we have got a total of about 340 kilowatts in stored capacity.
We find stranded energy and make sure that it doesn't go to waste anymore. Currently, there's excess energy, there's stranded energy that is going to waste and nobody's paying for it. What that really means is that we partner with energy developers who have built out some type of renewable energy for a community at a mini-grid site.
If, for example, they're generating 300 kilowatts and they only have 10 kilowatts that's in use, that means they have 290 that's generated, but it's wasted. They have no one to buy it. And so every day it's just being thrown out into the air for no good reason. Then we're able to take that stranded power and give them a path to profitability. What does that mean? So for this power partner that you're working with who has one mini grid working somewhere and you've been able to make it economically viable, they can use the same funds that they're raising to go to another space and be able to set up another mini grid and connect another community.
They use excess energy. So it's like the moment the energy consumption goes up, they reduce, the energy that goes to the Bitcoin computers or servers, if you may like. It's reduced.
There are 3 wins to this. So for gridless, we're able to mine Bitcoin, which of course then makes money for us. For the community, they're able then to get electricity. And then hopefully, as we continue partnering with these other mini grids, it's just not electricity, but it becomes more affordable for them.
As these operations are profitable and as they're organically growing and looking for more energy, you become a financing mechanism for new projects.
Because Bitcoin mining is able to monetize stranded energy at its source, the level of innovation that we will see in the years to come, we haven't even scratched the surface.
The Bitcoin mining process is a computationally complex process that requires tremendous amounts of energy, and we've found one of the best ways to do that is to find sources of stranded energy like waste methane from the oil field that we can repurpose and would have otherwise been wasted, and we can repurpose to help validate and secure the Bitcoin network.
What Bitcoin mining does for oil and gas industry is you can bring the consumer, who's just a person using Bitcoin, right to the energy source.
Those big torches and flames on an oil well are about 91% efficient. 9% of that methane is escaping into the environment uncombusted. And methane as a greenhouse gas is over 25 times worse for the environment. And so what we do is we're able to combust that methane to about 99.9% in our engines, which creates about a 60% net reduction in CO2 emissions even after we're running our generators on these locations.
It is an environmental benefit to have those kinds of opportunities brought to an oil and gas well that has not yet been connected to a pipeline.
Landfills are a source of stranded methane and stranded power, but they're also an incredible pollutant.
There's trash being collected everywhere, goes to the landfill, gets dumped off. All that trash decomposes over time. That decomposition process creates methane gas, and that landfill gas can actually combust. You collect it, throw it into an engine after we kind of clean it, compress it, dry it, then you can throw it into a transformer and into a data center where we use it for compute.
So many waste of energy everywhere. It's crazy. We can feed 10 Bitcoin networks in the world, maybe 15, with all the waste energy everywhere.
If we can reduce how much energy is wasted on the grid by connecting with players in the mining industry who are able to consume and absorb unused energy from power grids, I think this is going to be better for our future. And it really doesn't require changing a whole lot of what we have right now. It's just better placing of our resources for supply and demand.
Many countries have a ton of excess energy, but it's important also to, while you reinvest that excess energy into Bitcoin mining, you are also reinvesting in sustainable energy production.
We're building substations, we're building power lines, we're bringing infrastructure in that can benefit entire communities. We actually just expanded a facility in Georgia and built a substation that not just we will use, but the city is also going to use the other half of that. And they were able to secure the funds to build that substation because we came in and we were willing to buy the power.
There are three key ingredients for Bitcoin mining: electricity, a reliable internet connection, and a computer. But for miners, cost of energy is by far and away the biggest overhead. It's common to see in the headlines and Ripple-sponsored Greenpeace campaigns that Bitcoin consumes a ton of power. Bitcoin mining is demonized in the press. It consumes more energy than entire countries such as the Netherlands, Greece, even Argentina. In 2021, China joined a number of other countries that banned Bitcoin mining. Why? The chief reason is energy use. Just one container can consume as much electricity as 750 modern American houses. Today, Bitcoin mining has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Vast businesses, even publicly listed companies, are mining Bitcoin, in turn consuming huge amounts of electricity, a quality of every other large industry in the world. But the energy-guzzling Bitcoin miners that make up the main layer of the industry could be an opportunity to assemble and build out power generation at sites where energy is untapped, wasted, or stranded.
That's where Bitcoin really fills a gap and creates an opportunity to source electricity from the most consumer-friendly, the cheapest fuel, and then utilize it in the most efficient ways. It makes our ever-growing demands for energy less expensive and more sustainable over time.
Bitcoin mining is the most beautiful, inviting, and equal opportunity venture capital firm for energy entrepreneurs we've ever seen. And you need no one's permission to innovate.
Anybody can buy into a Bitcoin miner. Anyone can mine Bitcoin. There's no regulation on, oh, I'm sorry, you haven't inherited a house from your father. You can't be part of this society. Bitcoin just doesn't care.
There's no greater incentive to come up with the most efficient energy source than to run your mining operation.
And these innovations that are being driven in this industry are all being funded by the industry. We are not relying on government subsidies to drive this kind of innovation.
We can start interacting more appropriately with renewable power sources, with more remote power sources. We can start integrating remote communities with self-sustaining power sources.
If we intend to reverse the course of the 20th century industrialization, of pollution, of corruption, we needed an elegant solution, and I think Bitcoin mining is a very elegant solution.
One way you can think about Bitcoin is energy money. Through mining, energy goes in to producing more Bitcoin and driving the security of the Bitcoin blockchain. Since mining requires energy, that is the medium that takes energy and transforms it into Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is a decentralized ledger that allows us to account for permissionless transactions from one person to another without an intermediary or middleman taking a cut or allowing the transaction to happen.
The ability to be able to send information, money, over the internet, digitally, information, without a trusted third party, without an intermediary that can censor that, stop it, block it, or prevent it, is revolutionary.
And so Bitcoin is I think, an equalizer, a common denominator for people to be able to transact freely, to have independence from their own country in a way that can preserve their money, their wealth.
I personally believe that Bitcoin is something much bigger than just a digital asset. It's actually something that can change humanity and that can have a tremendous impact on our current society.
For many people around the world who are not even banked, they don't exist, they don't show up on the financial world system, Bitcoin is the only way they can buy and sell goods. It's the only way they can move around and be able to have some sort of financial freedom.
It's a really, really powerful moment because we're sort of making this shift into being a core component of the future of money and the future of energy.
Five, 6, 8. 5, 6, 8. Okay. Armenia dual control over this road. Armenia has taken up that offer, and that's why the area is put in this checkpoint. The French today, Captain Holland and Morgan in 2020 took back control of huge amounts of territory around that offer, and that's why the area is put in this checkpoint. The French today, Captain Holland and Morgan in 2020.
Alana Mediaa. Alana, come on out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for making this film, and thank you for coming out here. I know how much work it's been. I've seen the process. And I guess we can start out. I want to know how you have evolved start to finish, because you got an entire education that actually no one else has been able to get. Maybe Peter McCormick accepted. He talks to everyone. How have your own views on this changed from beginning to end? Because I know they must have.
My views is that it's a lot more complicated. It's a lot more gray. And in some areas, and it's way more positive in other areas that I hadn't quite. It's one thing to hear that mining can finance electrical infrastructure, and it's another thing to see it and to see the lives that are being impacted, because people's lives will be impacted by mining without them ever knowing what Bitcoin is. Hopefully not ever knowing. Hopefully at some point they'll know. But at the moment, they're not aware that Bitcoin is the one regulating their grids or financing the overbuilds that are necessary or financing any grid at all. So it just humbled me to realize that I thought I knew, but there was so much more, and I know that there's still so much more to learn.
What's been the reception from your creative peers so far? This is what I'm really curious about, because in some ways, we're a cult, and Alana's been talking to the cult members, but then this film is a real film. And it's being screened for audiences that know nothing really about Bitcoin apart from what they've read. How is it being received, and what kind of feedback are you getting from the broader creative class that's watching it?
Well, 2 years ago when I started, my friends were like, what the heck are you doing working on a Bitcoin mining documentary? Like, what? I was a closet Bitcoiner, because Bitcoin, Silk Road, druggy, and so I was a closet Bitcoiner. I had my reasons for being a Bitcoiner. And so I confused everyone, and then I was like, yes, and it's going to be called Dirty Coin. And then I alienated the Bitcoiners. So I alienated everybody. I alienated my normie friends that were like, what the hell are you doing with Bitcoin? And then I alienated my Bitcoiner friends, like, how dare you call my precious coin a dirty coin? And you know what I went through with that, of like, should I change the name? But I worked under the best marketers and public relations people on the planet, and I know how to get a click. I have over 500 million views on YouTube on my work. So I do know how to get a click, and I knew that I was going to get a click with Dirty Coin. And let's face it, it's almost every panel here has talked about how it's controversial, or as soon as they say the B word. I mean, yes, that is their elephant in the room. It is considered a dirty coin in the world. And so at the beginning, everybody was very confused, and I was very alone. And now I think that people, especially my normie friends, where before they used to say, I really like Bitcoin, but it's bad for the environment, and I don't really think that mining is all that good. I had somebody tell me last week that they were like, I'm still not sure about Bitcoin, but mining, that's really cool. And
amazing.
I was like, yes! Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah, I remember the Dirty Coin name controversy, and I am proud to say that I messaged Alana saying, stand firm with Dirty Coin. Don't let your donors push you around, because you're the artist, and we look to you to think about messaging, and then that has to come from who we're messaging to. Any kind of communication, you start with the audience, not where you're at, right? And the truth is that we have that brand, right? We are a Dirty Coin in the mind of a lot of, I would say, media, establishment media, academia, politicians. Not ordinary people, they don't really have an opinion, right? And you latched onto that, and it's perfect. If you came out with like amazing clean coin, no one would watch that film.
No.
I'm so glad you did it. It's brilliant.
I wanted to make the documentary that I wanted to show my friends. And my friends are smart people, but if I give them a documentary about how Bitcoin is going to save the world and it's freedom money, they're just not going to. It's not my friends, unfortunately. I mean, they're great people and they love freedom, but I don't think that is the right message to kind of bring certain people in for me. And I knew I had to attack the controversy, which in my opinion is, like I said, is just one of the most exciting parts, because it's going to, and it is changing the lives of the global South. And that's really fucking cool.
Excellent. We talked about the creative class and the reception from people outside of Bitcoin, but you've also shown this film to a lot of Bitcoiners at meetups and so on. Can you tell us about how you're screening the film among Bitcoiners and what the reception there has been like?
Incredible, and amazing. I didn't just want to put the video, so Stranded is my proof of concept, so that people understand what it is that I'm doing, the people that I interviewed, as a way of raising funds, which I still am, so come back to me if you want to be a producer in a film. But it was important for me to show what it is that we're talking about, even though with Dirty Coin we go with, we dig deeper in certain things. And I didn't want to put it on YouTube. I just didn't want it to get lost in the social media shuffle. And so I said, okay, well, If you want to see it, you have to screen it at your meetup. You just have to screen it at your company, at your meetup, at your neighborhood, and you can do it for free. I'll send you the link and you can do it for free. And I thought that a couple of meetups would do it, and I didn't expect that over 50 meetups around the world said, we want to screen it, we want to screen it, we want to screen it. And I'm sorry, some people I haven't even gotten back to because it's been an overwhelming reception. I've had people volunteer to translate the film into multiple languages so that we can make it available in multiple languages. And Bitcoiners have just taken it as their own and have, they wear the t-shirts and they have the stickers and they're proud of it. So it becomes theirs. And ultimately, movies do that. Movies become ownership of the person that sees it. And the pleb effect has been incredible, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, I've heard that the stickers are a perfect fit for an S9. So I don't know if you intended that, but they are being used in that way. Why don't you talk to us about something that's just recently happened? The EIA has demanded detailed survey responses from miners in the U.S. And then just yesterday, actually, they sort of withdrew this request, but after some really contentious litigation. And I wonder what your perspective is on the kind of, federal agency requests for information that are under the guise of an emergency authorization and incredibly detailed and invasive. What's your take on this? There was a little bit of discussion of this on the last panel, a nuanced discussion, but I wonder what your perspective is, having talked to a lot of these miners.
Well, here I'm repping Texas. Come and mine it. This is from the Texas Blockchain Association. I'm really proud of what they've done. We have to push back. That's just how a society grows and learns. And when they push, we need to push back. And I believe that what they did was still successful, because although Bitcoiners know now that they, removed the emergency request and that kind of fizzled, the big bang news story of this is an emergency and everybody's going to have to report their energy usage is already in people's minds. And what's not going to be reported on front screen is the fact that it fizzled and nothing happened with it. So I do believe that sometimes these measures they know that they're not necessarily going to win. We still need to fight back, because if not, they do. But from a public relations perspective, that is still imprinted in people's minds. So they have still won in that regard, that they continue to push this narrative that Europe is also pushing and many places is pushing as well.
Yeah, and to some extent, the refusal to cooperate with that also creates a story that, like, Bitcoin miners don't want to show their data. And
exactly.
rather than seeing that as just refusing an unlawful request, which is made under a bogus rationalization of an emergency, which was demolished in court, people just see it as like, miners have something to hide, right? More broadly, and we've had this discussion before, you started this project kind of like my panels today, looking at the misperception of Bitcoin and environmental issues, Bitcoin mining and environmental issues. And there is as you've seen today, an incredible disconnect between the reality, which is innovative, hopeful. It's kind of, almost shockingly optimistic on that front. But there's a contingent of Bitcoiners that see the environmental angle entirely as an attack on Bitcoin. And you can see maybe this request from the EIA as part of that attack, right? And I'm wondering how your perspective changed through the film, or what your perspective is coming out of it. Are ESG concerns being used as a cover for attacking Bitcoin? Is that something you think Bitcoiners need to be wary of, even though the thrust of your film is like, wow, Bitcoin contains amazing possibilities for, helping our energy system and lessening our impact on the environment.
I think that the pushback on Bitcoin is only the beginning, and it's an easy, low-hanging fruit because everybody already has this idea that Bitcoin is bad. But I think that's only the beginning, and higher-powered computings, and you can see Alex DeVries is already starting to target AI, which I called 2 years ago. And I believe that it's a cap on all human innovation moving forward into this technological age. Everything that we do, the more productive we are, the more carbon output we have, the more electricity that we use. So if we were to cap people's electricity use, we're capping their progress. Imagine, so our iPhones take an enormous amount of energy to produce, not just the hardware, but the software and everything that goes into making an iPhone. Imagine if back in the Nokia days, they would have told us that we needed to cap cell phone advancement at a certain carbon place. We would never have the iPhone. So we are stifling innovation by using this narrative. And in my opinion, one of the reasons why I set out to do this is because I come from tech. I have my background in tech. Our digital lives live in a physical place. It's going to start with Bitcoin, and it's going to continue. And I believe that this is really a way of capping human innovation in general, and not just Bitcoin.
It's such an interesting perspective, and I also share it. It's a weird and subtle place to be, isn't it? Where you say, this environmental narrative about Bitcoin is, in some cases, completely misguided, a pretext for control. And the truth is the polar opposite. And yet, the pretext of that, a kind of attack on Bitcoin, is deeply threatening in a way to how we should think about our future as a species. These new AI data centers, Duke Energy just announced plans for some in their part of the US. They're at gigawatt scale. Gigawatt scale. It's beyond anything that Bitcoin mining is planning. Right? Truly enormous. And so we either shut down AI or we find ways to embrace a high energy future that are consonant with our goals. Sorry, I didn't mean to lecture there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alana.
I agree. And what I think is going to happen is you're going to have certain companies are going to be able to afford what it takes to be environmentally friendly. And they're going to be able to afford the AI computers and everything. And other companies are not going to be able to.
Barrier to entry.
Exactly. So it's going to create a barrier to entry there. And it's a protectionist law. And it's nothing that we haven't seen before. And it's just a little bit more, it's just a little bit of history repeated.
Wonderful. Well, we are really grateful for what you've done. It's remarkable. Alana mentioned two things just now that are relevant to people out here. One is she still needs more financial support to finish the film. There's probably capital in this stadium, in this audience here. And please consider this. Get this thing over the finish line. It is awesome. It's an amazing piece of work.
Now we bring the whiteboard and we're like, who's first?
And the other thing she mentioned was that meetups are screening the film, and that she has swag like T-shirts and stickers and that sort of thing. So please reach out, even though she already said she's overwhelmed. Reach out if that's something you'd like to do at a meetup. And finally, we have something for you. Bert, come on out.
What is it?
Alana, I think it's about a year ago that you asked me, can I have the OG Node Runner sweater? And yeah, because we don't make it anymore. And this one actually went into the mines for the past years, building the mines in the Netherlands. So this is a really dirty sweater, which fits with your dirty coin. So I'm going to take this off, give it to you, and then you have the sweater you wanted. You asked for it at one point, but I thought it would be better to do this on stage. So that's the thank you for your proof of work. And actually traveling the world without your kids, and making this happen because of your belief in Bitcoin. So thank you.
Thank you. A
node runner.
Exactly. Smells dirty.
Yeah, it is. That's immersion in there.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for sticking around for this whole section, for those of you who did. I thought it was awesome. I'm super happy with myself. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.